R-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into Season 4, the good old-fashioned Dislike podcast, where dynasties never die and hate is an extreme word, but just barely. On this podcast, we usually pick a football rivalry, and we submit that rivalry to the panel dislike. They will come up with reasons why we like one team, dislike one team, and vice versa. By the end, we come to a conclusion of where our football loyalties lie, mainly based on non-football things, but that's what's so much fun. But today, we're going to be talking about, and then there were eight football teams left as we roll through the college football playoff. My good cousin and friend, a man that I've been discussing college football with for 44 plus years, it seems like, certainly both Alabama homers. So we're very excited about the win at Oklahoma, but we're going to roll through some of the picks from the panel. At this point, we're still all individually picking the final 8. Josh Thorne will not be a part of the picking this round because I was not a part of the first round of the college football playoff. And so I've slid into his spot. I'll be talking about and picking the Georgia Ole Miss matchup. But Ben, pulpit minister at Highland Park Church of Christ, works at Mars Hill Bible School, where the mega giant high school football team just won another state title, of which Ben does not coach, but he does cheer for them and has watched a lot of football. But Ben, how you doing?
I'm great. I love football. I love high school football a lot, and I love college football. Occasionally listen to some NFL, watch some NFL, but most of the time it's college football or high school. And I'm really excited about this playoff. I think kind of what we expected to happen in the first round happened. We had a couple of good games, and we had a couple of really, really not so good games. And of course, my blood pressure and all that got up a little bit. Obviously, watching our Crimson Tide play, it was a little bit of a tough game, but it was good to see us pull it out.
Well, they don't like us. I'm pretty sure that they don't like us very much, and they're trying to kill us all. But yeah, and as I mentioned, I've got the Ole Miss Rebels coming off a thrashing of the Tulane Green Wave, a rematch, and it went about how most everybody thought. And then guess what? They win, and they get a rematch with someone that you probably don't want to rematch. In the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs, hats off to Pete Golding winning. Think about that. Like your head coaching debut is in the college football playoff.
It's wild.
After the Lane train paraded out of town disastrously in some ways. And you get the win over Tulane, only to be rewarded with playing probably the hottest team in college football, I think, dismantling Alabama in their last outcome. I do think there are two things. It's sort of cliche to go, it's hard to beat a team twice, but man, that just holds true. Georgia beats Alabama in the rematch handily. Alabama reverses the tables on Oklahoma, beats them at their place. And it's hard to beat a team twice, which makes you think maybe Ole Miss. Another thing is they've not had the layoff. They played last year. Every team that had a bye lost the next round. So that 3 weeks, I can speak to that as a football coach. That is a long time to be off. A week and a half is kind of the best case scenario. 2 weeks is a little long. 3 to 4 is an eternity when it comes to chemistry. And so that's certainly working in the Ole Miss Rebels process. Also a new head coach, sometimes that can throw a few wrinkles in there. But I'm going with Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, just seeing their last time out. I know Alabama was kind of walking dead with 10 missing starters. I know nobody is sobbing for Alabama because we've had plenty of good fortune. And even in the Oklahoma game we did. But I think the Georgia Bulldogs are taking this one, Ben.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with you there. I do think it's hard to win twice in a row, but there's just a lot going against Ole Miss right now, and Georgia's just hard to pick against. I really think, in my mind, Georgia's going all the way is most likely. I'll just kind of wait and see how they look, but I think it's a good pick.
All right. So Blake Holloman, he had picked the Hurricanes to lose to A&M, and he got that wrong. They won 10-3 in the fourth quarter, and off a Marcel Reed pick, they move on to take on the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. And so you got the Miami Hurricanes and Ohio State. Both these teams' offenses have not looked great in their last 2 outings. Blake Holloman, kind of given the Georgia treatment to Ohio State. He picked Ohio State to beat whoever before the Miami Texas A&M game even got played. Blake went with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I don't know that I can really argue with him. With me, the Hurricanes, and all of college football and even the pros, like they want their quarterback to be the star, and sometimes to the detriment of the team. Miami started feeding it to Fletcher, buddy, and it was just too much to overcome. But I tend to agree with Blake. I think Ohio State's just got too many playmakers, and if Miami comes out not firing all cylinders, it could be possibly ugly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Ohio State's the stronger team. I think I was impressed that Miami did what they did, going to College Station, and thought it was an impressive win. But I'm kind of with you. I'll roll with the Ohio State and Bryce Millicent's, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. In the next matchup, we had Will correctly picked Ole Miss to beat Tulane. His next is the Orange Bowl with Oregon, coming off a defeat of James Madison. I've heard some James Madison apologists talking about how it was a lot closer. The score wasn't, I know the score at the end did get a little bit close. Oregon took the foot off the pedal. But nothing I've seen has shown me that was as close a game as maybe some people are trying to make it out to be. Texas Tech, these teams are legit. We keep talking about teams who spent a lot of money in the transfer portal. We won't name any names, but they're good. They've got a legit defense, as so many of these teams do. I think you look down the line, and there's not many of these teams that make it this far that don't have a defense that's in the elite category. And, of course, Oregon, we kind of know what they're doing. They were mad at the end of the JMU game. They thought they were moping around like they lost the game. So I expect an Oregon team to come out focused. And I'm not really sure who to go with. Will Mahan's going with Tech, and he's a fairly positive person. So this is probably the 2 teams that I know the least about in this tournament. And so I'll go with the higher seed too. And so far, I think we've went with the higher seed, and all of them lost last year. But anyways, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm like you. I haven't seen anything on these 2 teams really. I did know the only thing that I noted, I don't really think the James Madison game was close, but I did see where it sounded like they had chances early to score and either failed in the red zone. I didn't get to watch it, but they either failed in the red zone or they fumbled or some things happened that, they didn't score early. I don't know that it makes a difference, but, you make it a 7-14 game or a 14-14 game. That's different. It looks different going forward, but I don't know that it would have been enough, obviously. But I don't know. I know I'm not picking this game, but I'd probably lean towards Oregon on it, but I don't really know. So.
Yeah, there's a good bit of depth. You think about some of these teams. Now, they don't have the depth they used to have, the Oregons, the Alabamans, the Ohio States, thanks to the transfer portal. But it'll be interesting. That may be the most interesting of the 2 to see who is a legit contender. And then, of course, Ben, you are picking the next game. I know you're already had talked about how torn you were. You're setting at 3-0 in this competition so far. And you'll have a few more opportunities before this game actually happens to gain or lose a little bit more ground. But you correctly picked the Ducks to beat JMU, and now you get to pick the college football Rose Bowl with the number 9. Just as we all picked it 5 years ago that Alabama would be the 9 seed taking on number 1 Indiana, one of the historically worst programs in college football history. That just speaks to Kurt Signetti, who might or might not live in my nightmares, but great coach, and he's got them. They're legit, no doubt.
They are. I mean, they've got, it's an incredible offense. I mean, you look at the scores of the games that they've been in, and they are absolute slaughterhouses on most of the teams they've played. However, most of the teams they've played, I'm not sure how much of a pulse they have defensively. You're looking at they've got some games that were in the 60s and 70s on their side of the score, and really low on the other end. But they played, Iowa was ranked, I think, when they played them. Maybe they're still ranked, but they were ranked when they played them. They played Ohio State, and the other one was Oregon. Is that right? So they played those three, and they beat them all, but they beat them all in really close games. Those were not the blowout games. Penn State was a toe touch away from beating them. And so there was, it's just really hard to know how tested they are. Like, I really want to lean towards picking Indiana, but I look at Alabama's strength of schedule, and I really, as an Alabama homer, I really don't want to pick Alabama because I feel like I jinx us if I pick it. But when I look at the score and I look at who Alabama has had to play, I'm going to trust that Alabama comes in maybe having found a little bit of themselves, gotten healthy with the Oklahoma game, and that Indiana is maybe going to come out a little flat because of the long break that you've already referenced, and that maybe they don't do as good against a tough defense. I'm just not sure, other than Ohio State. And that was a close game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Ohio State had a chance to win there at the end.
And so I feel like they get up against a tough defense. Is their offense going to score 70 points on Alabama? I just can't. I can't imagine that they're going to score, more than 30 points. And then Alabama has the capability of also scoring that many. So,
yeah, I see this. Yeah, I think it's going to be lower scoring, which has been the MO. I think the games are shorter. I think both these teams would prefer to shorten the game just because of depth. And that's a lot of teams' approach now. I think Georgia a few weeks ago, due to some of Alabama's injuries, could have named their score, and Kirby was happy to kind of go, let's not get anybody hurt. Let's go in. That certainly helped Alabama in the PR department.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. We've seen Alabama in the first half of the season. DeBoer came out and said that they're as healthy as they've been since Tennessee. That's the third weekend in October. That's how long ago that was. They were impressive then. I think Indiana's a better football team than Tennessee, but that's most of the time. Even as Indiana's the worst program, one of the worst programs in college football history, they're still better than Tennessee in my mind. So that tells you what kind of homer I am.
I'm going to go with Alabama. I just, in my heart, feel like, hey, it's the 100th anniversary of the first time Alabama played in the Rose Bowl. I think somebody said it could be the 1,000th win of Alabama in their whole whatever, history. Is it history? 1,000th win?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Something like that. And then, the fight song says, remember the Rose Bowl, will win then. So I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to say, let's win the Rose Bowl. How about that?
Yeah, I'm down with it. Let's do it. I'll be happy as a lark if that's the case. But either way, I think I told you after the Iron Bowl that everything past that's gravy at this point. Yeah. Second year of DeBoer making the playoffs. I was very excited and happy about that. And I think the program's trending in the right direction, regardless of non-ball knowers and what they say. It is amazing. Anytime I want to feel better about my football knowledge, I just get on Facebook or turn on ESPN, and I immediately feel better. But Ben, so far you're leading us 3-0 in your picks. I'm at 2-1, and everybody else is at 1-1 as we kind of set this second part. I think there's a 4-part deal on the bowl, but good luck to you in your chase for the illustrious jersey. And appreciate your comments and all those passes you threw me in the backyard that were so much fun. We need to do that again.
We do need to talk.
All right. Well, take it easy.
The Rose Bowl.
Yes, absolutely.